I'm gonna have that AI song stuck in my head all day. Thanks for coming. Today I'm gonna teach you something about selling. Hopefully you find it useful. But hands up, like, how many people here think selling is hard? Anybody? A lot of you, yeah. Some people are like, no, it's easy, man. I sell all day. You know, those people are lying generally. But I think selling is hard. I work a lot with founders, and a lot of founders come out of the product side of the house, and so selling does not come naturally to them. But today I don't want to talk about that. I actually want to turn it around a little bit and think about it from the customer's perspective. And I'm going to say something that is maybe a little controversial here, and that is, I think buying is hard. Buying is hard. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sometimes when I say this, people in the audience are looking at me like, no, sorry, that's called shopping. That's easy. I love doing that. You know, buying's not hard. And I get it. Like, there's some things I like to buy. Like, I like shopping for shoes or buying a drink at the bar. Like, these are fun things to do. But if you think about it, there's a lot of things in your life that you buy that aren't fun at all. Like, who likes buying insurance? Not so fun. And if you think about it, things that businesses buy are often very, very difficult things to purchase. So I'm going to give you an example, and it's a stupid example and it has nothing to do with tech, but trust me, it's instructional, and then we're going to turn around and do the tech example. So just suffer through this with me. This story is called April Buys a Toilet. So I live in Toronto. How's my accent? Good? Can you understand anything? People are like, no, words coming out of your mouth, I don't understand a thing. Fine, it's okay. So I have a house that has a terrible bathroom. I hire a contractor who's going to fix up the bathroom. The contractor comes in and he says, April, you need to go pick out a toilet. And I said, okay, never bought a toilet before, but how hard can it be? So I go to the toilet store. I walk in, the sales rep comes in, and he says, can I help you? And I said, yeah, you can. I'm here to buy a toilet. And he says, what kind of toilet do you want? And I'm like, one that flushes? And he says, listen, lady, we have a lot of toilets here. They're all over there in the back corner. Go on to the back corner, you know, have a look, figure out which toilet you want. The prices are all on them and stuff. And, you know, come back to me and I'll sell you the toilet. And I said, okay. So I go in the back corner and this is what I see. Like hundreds of toilets, and they all look the same. They look identical. Okay, there's a pink one, but they all look the same, and they are not the same. Like, some of them cost a couple $100, some of them cost a couple $1,000, and every single one of them has this sticker beside with all the features on it, and I don't understand any of these features. They're talking about things like gravity assisted and single and dual flush things, and some call it trapway, and there's a flapper. I have no idea what a flapper is. Some of them have it, some of them don't. And I spend like an hour in there looking at all these toilet features, and I'm like, man, I'm not educated enough to buy a toilet. So I do what anyone would do. I go home and I research on the internet, and it turns out toilets are full of technology. You wouldn't believe it. Like, there's water efficiency and seat heights and single and dual flush technology, and there's these frickin' flappers. I still don't know what they are. There's visible, concealed, skirted trapways. And then I learned the most disgusting thing about toilets. I'm going to teach it to you now. There's a score. It's called the MAP score. That stands for maximum performance. Yeah, that's how much solid waste a toilet can handle in a single flush. 300 to 600 grams is good, but there are some toilets that can handle 1,000 grams. That's 2.2 pounds. That's like, it's like a little dog. So at this point, I'm like, that's disgusting. I now know all this stuff about toilets. I wish I didn't know anything about toilets. I hate this. I don't want to be a toilet expert. All I want to do is just pick frick toilet. And so at this point, I get a genius idea. Here's my genius idea. Maybe I don't have to buy one at all. Because you know what? The old one was working just fine. It wasn't perfect. It's a little bit old, whatever, it's fine. But, you know, I'll just use it, and then I'll use it till it breaks. And at that point, I'll figure out how to buy a new toilet. Now, what happened here? I spent 3 weeks looking at toilets. I went to the showroom twice. I spent what felt like infinity on the internet. And how many toilets did I buy? 0. Now, I'm not saying that buying your next generation SaaS, AI infused data analytics doodad thing is worse than buying a toilet. Yeah, actually, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's way worse than buying a toilet. Like, how hard is it to buy your thing? Like, think about it. How does most B2B software get purchased? Let's take something easy. Let's do like accounting software. How does accounting software get purchased? VP Finance wakes up in the morning and says, you know what sucks? Our accounting software sucks. We're in the middle of an audit. We're failing the audit. Oh, we've outgrown this stupid accounting software. We need new accounting software. Does she go and look at what accounting software they should buy? No, she's in the middle of the audit. She's a busy person. She goes in the office. She looks around and she's like, you, Joey, the controller. I hate our accounting software. Go on the internet and figure out what accounting software we should buy, figure it out, come back to me, make a recommendation, and then I'll give you the money to purchase that thing. And Joey, the controller, how's he feeling? Oh, Joey's pissed. Joey's like, this is my job. Joey's like, I use accounting software. I'm not an expert in accounting software. I don't know who the vendors are in accounting software. I don't know what the state of the art of accounting software is. I don't really know what our requirements are. I know what we like, we don't like, but I don't know anything. And so what does Joey do? He goes on the internet and he researches. And what does he see? Oh, he's got Gartner quadrants with a dozen or more companies in the top right thing. He's looking at review sites like G2 Crowd. There's tons of companies in the top right. Some of them are for big companies, some of them are for small companies. He doesn't know anything about this. He's like gathering a lot of information, but he doesn't seem to be getting any closer to making a purchase decision because a lot of this stuff doesn't make a ton of sense to him. And then what does he do? Maybe he gets to your website and he clicks on that button. You know the button. It's the button that says, give me a demo. So then Joey clicks on the button, he comes in, your sales rep is like, all right, we got one, this is great. Joey comes in, he's on the Zoom, your sales rep comes in, and he says, welcome to our wind tunnel of features. It's amazing. Look, we have 15 drop-down menus across the top, and the sales rep is going to click on every single one and show you every feature until the hour runs out. Here's a feature, here's a feature, here's another feature, here's another feature. Joey's sitting there with his hair blowing back. And how's he feeling? Like, he's looking at these features going, I don't know, some of this stuff I know what it is. Some of this stuff I don't really understand if it's important or not. Are you the only company that has that feature, or do all the other companies have that feature? Is this the right thing for me and my business? I don't know. Joey's overwhelm at this point is peaking. Here's the other reason Joey's freaking out. Joey's freaking out because if Joey makes a mistake, bad things happen. Bad things happen. Let's say he picks some accounting software and he goes to his boss, and his boss says, no, we're not, I've used that one before, it's terrible. Like, why did you pick that? That's awful. He feels bad, he looks bad in front of his boss. Maybe he makes the wrong choice, and everybody in the accounting department hates this software. Now he's the big jerk that picked that stupid accounting software. What if he picks the wrong accounting software and then they fail the audit? That's very bad. It's bad for the business, it's bad for him. He might not get his promotion. Heck, he might get fired. What is the easiest, lowest risk decision that Joey can make at this point? The easiest, lowest risk thing for him to decide is exactly what I decided with my toilet. Is to go back to the boss and say, you know what? Now's not a good time. Now's not a good time. You know, we're in the middle of the audit. You know, the old stuff, we don't love it, but it's not that bad. We'll just stick with what we got, and we won't buy anything. Now, you might think that this doesn't happen a lot, but it turns out, the research tells us that 40 to 60% of B2B software purchases end in no decision. And then when we drill down on that data, the data tells us that we're not giving up on the decision because we decided actively that the status quo was better. No, we get all the way to the end and we cannot confidently make a decision that we think we're not going to get in trouble for. And so we simply step out of the purchase process altogether. Now, I just go back to Toilet Town for 1 second just to finish this story. Like, the end of the story doesn't actually end there. You know what actually happened? I went back, I told my contractor, hey, I'm just going to stick with the old toilet. And the contractor says, no, lady, we've already recycled it. It's gone to the big bathroom in the sky. You actually have to have a toilet. We have to have it today. I'm like, oh man. So I go back to the toilet store and I get this guy. His name is Lou. I don't know. Nobody ever laughs at that joke, but it's funny. Anyway, thank you. We have one person that clapped. So anyways, I go in, guy comes up, he says, can I help you? And I said, yeah, buddy, this is a toilet emergency. If I don't buy a toilet today, you know, it's really bad. And he says, yeah, it's hard, right? Buying a toilet. And I said, dude, you have no idea. It's been shit. And he says, we don't use that word here, ma'am. It's solid waste. And I said, yeah, it's been solid waste, buddy. Sell me a toilet. And he says, look, I know how hard this is. He says, I'm going to teach you how to buy a toilet. And I said, ooh, teach me, toilet Obi-Wan. And he says, yeah, here's how we do it. There's only three things you need to know about toilets. Quality, aesthetics, space. I'm like, all right. He says, okay, see these ones over here? They're all 200, 300 bucks. And these ones over here, and they're more expensive. It's a quality thing. All those features you've been looking at, flappers and all that other stuff, high quality toilets will flush more before you have to call the plumber versus a low quality toilet. That's it. And I said, well, like who picks a low quality toilet? And he says, actually, a lot of toilets don't get flushed that much. You got a spare bedroom or a toilet in the basement or a vacation property or something. You can get away with a low quality toilet. It'll be fine for a long time. And I said, oh, interesting. Well, this is my main bathroom, so we eliminate all those. Great, now we're getting somewhere. And then he said, second thing's aesthetics. Some people got a certain look they're going for in their bathroom, like they want a gold toilet or a pink toilet, or they got a special thing. And so those are high quality toilets, but you know, you're gonna pay more for the flash. And I said, look, I don't have any toilet fashion requirements. We can eliminate those, good. He says, the last thing, space. Some toilets, yeah, if you got a really small bathroom, some toilets got the tank and it fits in the wall. And so that's good, saves you 5 or 6 inches. The bad thing is if it breaks, you got to break the wall to go and fix it. And so if you got lots of space, you should pick the one, you know, with the toilet. And I'm like, okay, I got a lot of space, so I'll do the regular one. Great, now we're down to 3 toilets. Like, this is amazing. I'm like, so which one should I pick? And the guy says, look, lady, I actually work for Toto Toilet, so I'm going to tell you to pick that one. But any of these toilets are fine toilets. I'm prejudiced because I work there, but I work there because I love the product. You can go research it online. But if you just want to buy a toilet and never think about toilets again, you should buy that one. I said, great. Slap down the card, buy the thing. What happened? Was that guy acting like a pushy salesperson? No. Was he giving me the product walkthrough and trying to explain every single feature on the toilet and overwhelm me with 100,000 features? No, he was not. In fact, he wasn't acting the way we think about a typical salesperson acting at all. He was acting like a guide. And what he was doing was giving me a rubric or a way to understand all of my choices so I could make the best choice for me. Now, can we do this in software? We absolutely can. And often we do not. And we don't because we think that customers don't want that from us. We think that customers don't want us to ever talk about the competition. We think that customers don't want us to talk about the market at large and just talk about our stuff, just the facts, Jack. But in fact, the research tells us the exact opposite is true. So this is from a study of enterprise B2B buyers, and they asked them, what do you want in a sales meeting? And their top 2 answers were, the first one was, I want perspectives on the market, not just your product, where your product fits amongst all the other things that I could pick. And the second one is, I want help navigating alternatives. We are typically not doing this in a SaaS product walkthrough at all. Now, if we wanted to do that, how would we actually do it? Now, in my opinion, and I'm the positioning lady, so I'm a little biased on this, but in my opinion, we cannot build a good sales pitch without first understanding our positioning. So our positioning defines who are we competing against? What makes us different? What is the value that we can deliver for a customer that no one else can? Who's a really good fit for our product and who isn't? Once we have that, then we can take those component pieces and map it to a sales pitch to answer the question, why pick us over the other guys? If you look at it, and I've worked with over 300 companies, the thing that I see across most of the SaaS businesses that I work with is that the positioning does not survive the jump from marketing to sales. So marketing is out there sweating all the words on the homepage, and they're meticulously crafting your ad wording and all these other things. But then you walk over to sales, and sales isn't doing any positioning at all. Sales is just showing you the features, and that's it. So what we really need to do is translate our positioning in a sales pitch. So I'm going to show you how to do that in like 5 minutes. Here's the structure. Good sales pitch has two components. The first is what I call the setup. And that's where we are talking about our market insight. So we're not just talking about ourselves, we're talking about the whole market and where we fit in it. The second part is our differentiated value. This is what we can do for your business that no one else can. When we look at this startup piece here, the setup, there's 3 pieces to that. One is our insight into the market. This is kind of like, what do we understand about the market that our competitors do not, that made us build our product in a different way than anyone else? Then we talk about the competitors. We don't necessarily name them, but we talk about the competing approaches to the problem, and I'll give you an example of this, and the pros and cons of each. And then we end this setup phase with, hey, can we all agree, if we agree that this is the real problem, and these are the alternate ways of solving the problem, can we all agree on what the perfect world looks like? This is a perfect solution, should look like this. Then we switch to the follow-through, and the follow-through is basically, how do we solve that? So instead of going feature, 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 we're talking about our differentiated value. So we say, here's the value we can deliver, here's how we do it, the features. Here's the value we can deliver, here's how we do it. So let me show you an example of this. This is a company I worked with quite a while ago. They were recently acquired by Salesforce, so this is why I can use their sales pitch in public and I don't get in trouble because they kind of don't exist anymore. But the company's called Level Jump. They're in the sales enablement space. This is an absolutely terrible space. Is anybody in the sales enablement space? Thank stars that you're not. Like, you should really wake up every day and say, thank goodness we didn't decide to go in the sales enablement space. It's terrible. There's thousands of vendors. Most of the vendors in this space have raised a lot of money. It's extraordinarily competitive. When these guys came to me, first we did a positioning workshop. So the thing that we started with was, well, who do you compete with? So their competitors fall into 3 buckets. If it's a really new organization, they might just put sales materials on a shared drive. But then they get to the point where they need to start training their reps and they've got more reps. A lot of them will move to a solution that looks like a CMS. There's lots of vendors in the space that solve it that way. It's good because, you know, you can keep track of what people have access to what things. If you want to get really fancy, there's a set of solutions that look like an LMS or a learning management system where you can set up courses, people take the courses. Their big differentiator is they're the only one that's built on top of Salesforce. That's the feature. What's the value of that feature? Well, the value of that feature is you can actually correlate your sales training data with sales results. So did the training result in improved time to first deal, improved time to make quota, more deals, more revenue? Okay, so that's the setup. Now, here's the pitch they were doing, the old style. So if we roll back to the old style pitch, it was basically a product walkthrough. So they walked in, the customer walked in, and they're like, oh, hi, we're going to show you Level Jump. Here it is. Here's how you get started. Here's how you set up the training. Here's how the reps access the training. Here's all the things you can do with the training. Here's a feature, here's a feature, here's a feature, blah, 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 blah. At the very, very end, they would say, here's how you track the results. Does that look any different from a CMS? Not really. Does it look any different from an LMS? Not really. Does it answer the question, why pick us over the other guys? No. Here's how we restructured the pitch. So we restructured the pitch like this. It starts with our insight. So these folks are selling to the head of sales enablement at a SaaS business, usually, or head of sales enablement at a tech company. So the head of sales enablement is sitting there. Sales rep comes in to the head of sales enablement and says, okay, we're here to do the demo. But before we get to the demo, let's just talk about sales enablement. Why is sales enablement so important? It's important because every day your rep's not making quota costs you money. How much money? They have a nice little chart that shows you every improvement in a day of making quota and how much that impacts your revenue. So every day your reps are fully enabled costs you money. Now, we work with a lot of companies that do sales enablement, and here's what we've seen. They have one of 3 approaches to the problem. Either they put stuff on the shared drive. It works fine if you're really small. It's easy. It's free. But the minute you have a lot of reps, you're looking at something else. If you have a lot of reps, you might start with a CMS, and there's a lot of vendors out there that are basically a content management system, and that's good. You can tell what's up to date and what isn't. Or you can use an LMS, and then you can track who took the training and who didn't and put people through actual courses. Do you know what none of these things do? None of these things actually let you measure the results of your sales enablement efforts. How do you go to your boss and prove to your boss that the sales enablement was working? Meaning it improved time to first deal, improved time to make quota. In a perfect world, wouldn't we have a solution where you could track that? I mean, why even really do sales enablement if I can't really track how it worked? Now, if the sales enablement person is looking at me and saying, well, yeah, I'm with that, then I go, great, let me show you how we do that. So here's how you measure the impact of sales enablement with sales metrics. So I show you how we track it. I show you all those features that I have that are super differentiating. And then secondly, because we can track this, then we can see what's working, what isn't. So here's how we improve this stuff over time. Very, very different pitch. And it goes right at answering the question, why pick us over the other guys? This pitch was super successful for these folks. Revenue went like this. They got acquired by Salesforce. And now everybody's rich. There's a handful of things that you really need to think about if you're going to do this. So one is sales needs to be heavily involved. So all the way, in my opinion, sales need to be involved all the way back to the positioning. So when you're working on your positioning and figuring out who do we compete with, how are we different, what is the value we can deliver no one else can, this needs to be a cross-functional effort. If sales is not involved, then sales won't understand the positioning, and it will be very, very hard to switch up the sales pitch and get the salespeople to actually use it. Here's another mistake that people often make. They'll build the sales pitch, heave it over to sales, and just expect everybody on the sales team to just instantly start using it. This never, ever works. So salespeople are very comfortable with the deck they have now. Even if they say they don't like it, even if they say they don't like the demo, they don't like the way they do it, they're comfortable with it. They have pacing, they have timing, they have the little joke that they tell on slide 2. They're not going to like a new thing if you just throw it over and say, hey, use this for a couple of days and tell me, you report back to me whether you like it or not. The way to actually do this is you take one sales rep, ideally your best sales rep, and you train her on the new pitch, and you force her to do it over and over again. Then you do practice pitches on qualified prospects, and you do a bunch of those, and then after she's got a handful of those under her belt, then you ask your best sales rep, is this better than the old pitch or not? At this point, you're going to get an honest answer. If the answer is yes, this is better than the old pitch, then what I can do is take that sales rep who's already very good at this pitch and have that sales rep train everybody else. You get a whole bunch of things with that. One, sales training sales is always better. Two, that sales rep's actually done a bunch of pitches with it, so they can say, hey, these are the deals I have in the pipeline that I actually got from using that pitch. It's way better than the old pitch. You just got to do it a bit to get used to it. That works way better. If for some reason the pitch fails, so you do that training with the one rep, and the rep says, nah, the old pitch was better, it's usually not the fault of the pitch. It's usually the fault of the positioning that went into the pitch. So your value proposition is weak. You don't really understand who your true competitors are. It's possible that you did the positioning without sales involvement, and so maybe you're missing a trick there. You need to go back to the positioning, rework the positioning, and then come back to the pitch. And then lastly, the pitch should only change when the positioning changes. So there's a temptation to keep fiddling with the pitch once you have it and you've rolled it out to the sales team, or worse, let the sales team fiddle with the pitch because, oh, well, we pitched this one person and he wanted this thing, so I added a slide. Oh, then I pitched another person and he wanted a thing, so we added another slide. Don't do this. So the pitch should stay the same unless something really big changes, our value changes, the competitive landscape changes, then we got to go back, change the positioning, and that in turn will change the pitch itself. If you want to learn more about positioning, I wrote a book about positioning called Obviously Awesome. That's the orange one. If you think your positioning is pretty good and you just want to go straight to the pitch part, I wrote a new book called Sales Pitch, and that'll describe in deep detail how you use this structure, how it works, and everything else. The QR code will take you to my newsletter. If you sign up for the newsletter, then I will give you a set of templates. Those templates will help you work through both the positioning and the sales pitch, and that's it. Thank you for joining me today.